Today on the show, I'm happy to have a great group of panelists. We're going to be talking about AI tech investing. So today I have Sam Simon. He's the founder of Theosim and a published author. I have Susan Lindicki, the founder of the VC firm of Robotics. She's had 34 years in the finance industry. And Jacques Ludek, founder of Cortex. He has a PhD in AI and he's also a published author. Thank you guys for coming on the show today.
Thanks,
Okay.
Chaz. Great to be here.
So we're going to start with Jacques. How do you actually assess an AI tech company before making an investment? What kind of the key factors you look at?
Oh yeah, I think there's many. You got to look at technology innovation, differentiators, barrier to entry. There's a bunch of things around that, scalability as well. And that leans into the kind of market opportunity as well. So what is the size and growth potential of that target market? Is it a crowded market? Does the startup have a clear path to dominate in a niche area? Those kind of things are important. I'm personally quite interested in kind of platform plays, super platforms, if you can get that right. There's a bunch of opportunities to actually do that. Another thing is product market fit. I would say very important, obviously, is the teams, the people and the leadership there. Do you have people that's really passionate and driven and conviction and all of those kind of things? I've invested in a few startups where it was almost mainly when I saw this is a founder that really want to take it to the next level. He's incredibly determined and understands the market very well and can also inspire a team as well. So it says all of those kind of things are pretty important. Very important is the business model, the monetization, and it might evolve over time. We see many stories of that. IP, data ownership, especially if you think about AI, machine learning, can you get always a interesting thing there? Can you create a niche with your IP and data ownership? The other thing that's going to be important is regulatory compliance. I think is going to be super important, and then risk management. So those are some of the key things. And yeah, love to hear what others have to say.
If I can jump in here, I think for us, the key ingredient is obviously the founder and the team. So we're really looking at a team. We're looking at the credibility. What have they done in the past? How much experience do they have in the product? Everyone says that a company that's getting created every single day. So you're really looking for people who's come up with experience, who's got a lot of, just basically a lot of experience in the field. So that's really important. Then second, I think, Jacques, what you said is really important is in terms of what is the business model? How do you monetize that? And can it be scalable? So for Avestex, we're looking at where's the next unicorn going to come. We're not going to go through hundreds and hundreds into our portfolio. We're very selective. We maybe have 20 into our VC fund, and that's why we're really looking at scalability. Where's the next unicorn going to come from? What is the team and the founder behind them? And is it monetizable? And can they take it to the next level?
Absolutely.
Course, having two experts in the domain, I will add only that I think in the new era, we need to emphasize on the aspect of ethical AI use, how we can employ human augmentation in the new startup and avoiding the hype, because a lot of people are using hype, give it to AI. And instead, we need really to emphasize on core human values inside the AI development, ethical AI, responsible AI. I think it's an important thing to look at this phase, because the last thing we want is people not happy with the, let's call it AI revolution, and start fighting back because we are not giving power for human, let's say, inside the new AI revolution.
Absolutely.
When evaluating a startup in AI or a company you're about to either start yourself or invest in, are there some red flags or common pitfalls you see that kind of change your mind on, oh, this is something we should stay away from?
Yeah, I think it's very much what Susan said. I think especially now, there's a lot of hype or over-reliance on hype. Everybody's just they're just putting the word AI there, automation, or just AI is plugged in everywhere. And so one needs to be super careful there. So it's like buzzwords without clear differentiation. They just think that AI is this magic wand just by mentioning it. And clearly that's not a differentiator in itself. It's becoming, I think AI will be everywhere. So it would be completely integrated. Another important, I think, pitfall, I think about a weak business model. If they rely solely on investment without sustainable revenue stream, well, that is very risky. Talent, you have to look at, if you've got an inexperienced team, Susan also mentioned that. It helps if you've got experience. If you're young founders, it helps to have a board of advisors or some experienced people helping and backing them up as well, especially in the business world. I'm thinking about even CSET, my first AI company. We were coming out of university, and okay, there's a few years like a professor at university, senior lecturer professors, but you had to learn the hard way about what's business, and we had to learn very quickly. And you make a lot of mistakes and everything, but there's no substitute for that kind of experience that you build up. And I think Sam mentioned the ethical stuff. If there's, especially now, as the field becomes more mature, there's more going to be more regulation, compliance, those kind of things as well. If you think about data privacy, IP rights, ethical considerations, those kind of things as well. That it's almost like with the 25 plus years that I've been entrepreneur, smart technology entrepreneur. Yeah, it's been the Wild West initially because there was not a lot of players, especially in the early 2000s. There's not really a lot of AI players, and we went straight. And I did my PhD in AI, so I was comfortable in this space, and I know we can add value and do things. But now it's becoming more mature. It's still Wild West right now. If you think about LLMs and generative AI, what's happening now? But clearly that is a pitfall, a kind of red flag issue. And then the big thing around data as well. So you got to be careful about biased data or incomplete data. If you don't acquire the data with proper consent, those kind of things are very important for AI startup.
I think for us, it's really about AI at this stage is a tool. So we're really looking at what is the commercialization that's happening and where is it coming. Also, one thing Jock did not mention is competition, and that's a big thing. So everyone's coming up with AI, but really, what is the competition in the field? How many are there out there enough, and how many is going to be there? So I think that's really important to look at that because that can be a huge red flag out there. And the team is really important as well. You need to have a mature team. Any person who starts a company or a new idea, it's a very lonely road out there, and they need to have a really good, solid team and a good, solid board of advisors as well, which is really important for us.
I agree with you, of course, but I would add something maybe that a red flag for me as a small investor is overemphasizing on speed and time to market and not considering ethical issues in terms of AI data, in terms of lack of representative data set and testing of the model. And that can create really a setback. So you have a very talented people, very aggressive people, but maybe if they are going too speedy to the market before enough and robust data and testing for their former models, they can have a setback and a lot of hallucination and a lot of amazing things coming out of the LLM because they didn't test it enough. So for me, this is a red flag.
Yeah. I maybe just want to add there, I think it's a fine balance. Because of the competition, you want to move quickly. So the minimum viable product is very important. And the feedback, to get the feedback in a controlled way from your customers or target markets. But you obviously, as you rightly say, what is that minimum viable product? It needs to have at least, especially now, I think one needs to make sure that you address all those ethical risks and stuff. So that definitely comes into play.
So next, I want to jump into how you guys manage risk. So we know there's a lot of buzz around AI, and that's inflating valuations in some scenarios and also creating startups that maybe are just here to jump onto that trend. And there's also a lot changing in the regulatory environment. So how do you guys build that in when, once again, putting that time or money towards an AI?
This is where it gets interesting. I think where there's an opportunity, I've mentioned at the start, One of the things that I'm looking at is the AI-driven sustainable technology venture capital fund of funds, but where you can use AI or smart tech to also help facilitate the investment process itself, automate certain parts of it, due diligence tools, sourcing engines that can help with the filtering as well. So that's one thing. So you want to do a thorough due diligence, assess the technical market and business risks before you invest. And if you've got tools, smart tech tools that can assist and help understand the general trends, and then so there's a lot of opportunity there. I don't think we've got really fund of funds that's doing that yet properly, and the tools are now there, so it's more mature, especially with the use of large language models, multimodal. It can help you quite a bit. Also with the documentation and all of that, and financial models and evaluations and all of those kind of things. The other thing is portfolio diversification. If you spread your investments across AI subsectors to mitigate specific market risks, and you obviously need to look at the market trends. I think we're sitting on exponential curves. You see the fusion of these bunch of smart tech curves. And it's so interesting because even if you look at the whole thing around generative AI, where it was almost like if you can get into the foundational model layer, open source or proprietary, I prefer obviously open source, but but it could become a commodity as well and is extremely expensive. And there's more opportunities on the application side of things. And then when you get to the application side, you have to look at the risk around data and how do you create differentiation and on all of those kind of things. So there's a lot to think about because it's an evolving landscape. It might be a year ago, 2 years ago, it might have been fine to invest in say foundational models, but it's maybe less attractive 2 years later or 3 years later. So one needs to be just very smart and move with the trends and understand the dynamics of what's going on around these things.
I think the depth and the knowledge of any AI specific technical team are extremely important. They really need to know what are they building, really understand. Job was saying the open source, really understanding the code and what is the end vision and what is the product market fit going to be. That I think is really going to be a differentiation in terms of what product they're going to bring to market out there. And Sam has touched on that as well in terms of the technical and the ethical propriety rights. And then obviously the patents, we're really looking strong in terms of certain patents and patents that I can actually go and register out there. That's really important for us.
I will add the perspective of, let's call it an owner of a startup. And I would say the risk is huge because every day we have a new technology coming in, and sometimes you invest some time in developing a small application and suddenly it's handled in a new update of OpenAI or Microsoft. So I think we need to concentrate a lot on applications because even a small integration of these large language models into the everyday paradigm of work in enterprises will provide huge and impressive changes. And from my perspective, I think we don't need to go to very, let's call it, difficult or elusive application. It's enough to make a delta. And it's impressive how a small delta usage of generative AI in the everyday of the enterprise can make differences. It's I think the right way for startups today is to limit their ambition somehow because it's amazing. We think we can have robots tomorrow or data from Star Trek tomorrow, but it's not the case. At least have reasonable limited target with reasonable application because even very small software improvement can create complex impact in companies.
What would you say are some of the most promising opportunities or even challenges within the sector right
For me, I think I wrote this book, Democratizing AI to Benefit Everyone, and I talk about how can we optimize quality of life for as many people as possible. And if you think about the emerging markets, I think especially in terms of education and healthcare, it's some of the most positive, uplifting type of applications. If you can democratize access to smart tech and just the capabilities of what this can bring to that space, it will make a huge difference in terms of quality of life. Even if you think about Maslow's motivational framework, those are some of the basic needs and to give people opportunities. So I see huge potential there on that front. Clearly, if I just think more broadly, so I mentioned healthcare, autonomous systems, the climate tech, lots of stuff with generative AI in media and creativity. We just need to be smart. And I'm with Susan on emphasis on tools. And that's what I've emphasized in my book as well. We need a lot of wisdom to navigate responsibly going forward. And Sam also mentioned the ethical side, trustworthy AI, robust AI, all of those kind of things. But for me, I'm a smart tech person, but I really think it's important to think about how it supports humans, us, and improve quality of life and all sorts of life. So we shouldn't get ahead of ourselves just because of curiosity, just because we can do it and create conscious machines and all sorts of stuff. I think we are on the wrong track if we do those kind of things. So it's very important to look at the right type of opportunities, not just to make money. Think about all stakeholders. It's like stakeholder economy versus this is shareholder economy. So I think generative AI in media creativity, there's also cross-industry AI adoption for efficiency gains. I think it's incredible, the opportunities. And there's obviously challenges as well, but you've asked for the opportunities. So I'll stop there. I mentioned education. So obviously that's for me a big one, especially
I
ultra personalized education.
John, yes, I agree with you. I think regulatory environment that's still under development is going to have a major impact on those opportunities and those challenges coming through. And we will see different jurisdictions have different regulations coming through in terms of different continents, and that will have different implications and opportunities as well. But I personally believe the biggest breakthroughs will come through in the medical field and longevity as well. And just automation in general, if you think about how we operate today, how we're going to operate, and how we interact with those automations is going to be fundamentally changed over the next 7 to 9 years that a lot of people don't even think about. So I think those are the biggest opportunities. And I have to add in one more. I think the opportunities in some of the existing businesses, if you, for instance, take private equity and you take it, if you use like logistic business and you think your margins is not so big, but if you start automate all of those and you bring in smart technologies and robotics, you're going to see some of those productivities and margins going through the roof because it's all automated. Unfortunately, the downside of it is it's going to impact on humans, it's going to impact on labor. But in terms of monetization, I think it will be a huge opportunity.
I agree with Jack and Susan, of course, and I will add also a perspective about a human augmentation. First of all, I think healthcare is the most, let's call it, attractive or nearby application for what we have because they have a great mass of papers. And this great mass of papers with generative AI can be reduced drastically. But we need to emphasize on empathy and human augmentation. We don't want to replace the nurse that is taking notes by a cold AI, but we want to give her the AI tools so she will be efficient. She can help the doctor quicker, better, get rid of this great mass of papers and replace them with a very useful machine for us. So I think this is the most imminent application is healthcare, education, all this aspect. Maybe also, or you mentioned private equity firm and they have a lot of documents. So having AI to help them. But I think we need to emphasizing on human augmentation at this level of artificial intelligence technology and not going far beyond it and emphasizing on empathy. We don't want to lose our humanity by automating everything. We want to empower our humanity, our empathy, our love. Listen, a nurse that is empowered and she is not lost in papers would be giving more care and empathy to the people around her. She would be more smiling because she has less work to do. But we cannot avoid that.
And speaking to the quality of life, the increased automation interaction, but even making the lives easier of a nurse, healthcare, what do you guys think about how robotics are going to start to intersect and already have intersected with AI? What is the future going to look like?
Oh, it's going to be interesting. I just saw a recent investment, NVIDIA, Microsoft. There's a bunch of companies participating there in embodied AI. I think it was more than $1 billion. Yeah, I think if you think about AI, clearly, if you think about computer vision and sensor technologies that allows robots to perceive things, their surroundings. And currently, AI is absolutely state of the art around to give high accuracy and identifying objects, people, obstacles, all of those kind of things. Perception is hugely there. And then if you think about, we're getting better now with reasoning and planning, so it can assist with decision making. So you can have robots that can use machine learning to interpret data, predict outcomes, plan optimal paths or actions. I think we're going to see more of that. And then also adaptation and learning. So it can help robots to adapt to new tasks, improve over time. But we have to, currently there are limitations, but there's more talent, more research. We've got all these biggest tech companies putting a lot of resources behind this. So we can expect a lot of improvements in all regards. Jan LeCun of Meta is also talking about various ways to create more high level reasoning, creating models that's got better world models and understanding of the environment, not just learning things from text. So if you learn from text, video, all sorts of different things, you can get systems that are better at understanding their surroundings. There's active inference from Versus and others as well. So there's some really interesting, exciting possibilities. And we will see more embodied AI. We are effectively embodied natural intelligence. It makes a big difference if you do that. And if it's just because currently the large language model is just reading all the text that's available. But if you provide them with lots of other types of information and data, that's one thing. But we also need to have breakthroughs in some of the algorithms and the architectures. It's the current, I think we will run into limits with what we have right now still. But anyways, it's very exciting. The intersection of AI and robotics is very exciting, but we also need to be smart and careful here because this is exactly the area where there could be a lot of disruption with jobs and everything. So we will probably need to re-engineer economy, rewarding people for their positive contributions to society in different ways. So it's putting actually an emphasis on getting all those other things, the whole context in terms of where humanity live. That's what I focus on in the book as well, because if we've got a massive transformative purpose for humanity and understand what is important, character building, wisdom, compassion, all of those kind of things, and just make sure that technology and the automation that we do is supporting that in a balanced way, not just taking over everything. This is where capitalism can just run havoc as well. So everything is a balance, like a yin and the yang. So we just need to be smart how we deploy it.
One of our investment portfolios is actually in humanoid robotics, and it's quite interesting to follow their journey. And one of the big things that I'm getting into is the medical field, but I going to intersect into every other industry that's possible. So if you think of older people that's in retirement villages, those robotics will actually start helping the assistants and helping the nurses out there, for instance, like heavy lifting. So anything that is too heavy for people to do. If you think of the building industry, construction, it is so hard for the bricklayers out there. So I believe robotics will come in and it will complete with some of those jobs to just build houses. Why would you have humans doing that? Why would you not have humans really being more productive, more intellectually? And as well as in medical nursery or surgical rooms, if you think of the amount of robots that you can use there. But I think at the end of the day, all of us will have a personalized robot that can help assist around the house, help some cleaning, help take your children maybe to school. And I think that's the biggest revolution that we still yet to see that hasn't happened yet. That's why I said we've got a lot of tools, but we haven't actually seen the applications coming through that is now currently under production.
Robots are coming for us. The world will change. Of course, I think robotism is not yet at the same level at chatbots and text level and generative AI and even image processing AI. But it's coming. It's coming. I will say it will take more time to see the robots that we have seen in Wall-E, for example, as people are familiar with that Disney robot, but it's coming. Maybe in 15 years, we will have Wall-E everywhere, helping elder people going into mine, executing very hazardous tasks, and firefighters, robot. It's coming. I'm very optimistic about it. We'll see it. But right now, we'll start with limited robotism. Let's say the robots that we see in the manufacturing facilities, a big arm, or in the construction site. And it will get better and better. Drones, and hopefully only peaceful drones, not military drones, because I have seen that they are very fast in doing this, unfortunately. But I'm still optimistic about the future. They are coming. It will have a great impact on job replacement. And in my book, I suggest a lot of things to avoid that because it's inevitable. And maybe in 20, 30 years, we'll have much less of these, let's call it basic jobs or repetitive jobs that will be given for robot. And maybe instead of having just a cell phone, we'll have a companion robot that will carry our stuff, helping us. And we talk with these robots because practically it will have capacity to talk. I don't think we'll see the robot we have seen in science fiction that will talk like a robot, let's say. We'll have immediately a robot that talks like a human. The more difficult, I think, approach is what we call spatial intelligence, because unfortunately, we don't have the same level of, let's call it research and investment in spatial intelligence that we had in text or in images. But it's coming. That doesn't mean it will not happen. It will take slower time, more years. And the risk we have is always social impact, because I call it in my book, the rise of digital proletariat, borrowing from Marxism. But this time, digital proletariat will help the capitalistic people, because suddenly you have an army of robots to execute the economy. And here we need to change the economy radically. I think this is the real challenges. But in terms of AI or robotics, oh my God, the future is amazing. We need just to, let's call it, navigate our way through this upcoming and avoid the shadows of the singularity.
Chad, I just maybe want to add something there as well. There's some really interesting developments. Sam, you mentioned spatial as well. In terms of the spatial web, there's new protocols being designed called hyperspace transfer protocols. So instead of just looking at hypertext, hyperspace, and hyperspace modeling language, so an active inference is another AI in the smart technology or AI toolbox that is integrating directly with these kind of protocols as well, which really provides some for exciting stuff versus actually a company in California that Los Angeles that's busy with that. But anyway, so yeah, there's many interesting applications for robotics. If I just think about in healthcare as well, surgery with more precision, reducing recovery time. If you think about rehabilitation, if you've got, say, robotic exoskeletons, helping patients regain mobility with personalized therapy, there could be all sorts of positive applications.
So if our listeners wanted to get in touch with any of you, how could they reach out?
Okay, so I've got a website, jacquesludic.com, so they can email there as well. I've got Twitter accounts, LinkedIn, Twitter, and I would say website's probably best. I've also have a newsletter, Democratizing AI, on LinkedIn. So yeah, there's plenty of ways to connect.
So for myself, it's through our company, ivestix.com. So it's ivestix.com. Or they can just reach me out, susan@ivestix.com by email or on LinkedIn. So we got a company website as well as my personal website.
For me, you can reach me at samman.com, my personal website, or at my company website, TheoSim, Theo from Theorem and Sim from Symbolic. People asking what does that mean. And theosim.com. And you can follow me also on YouTube at my channel, TheoSim. I'm welcoming all kinds of questions, from discussion about AI in the society to discussion about the company and our product.
Well, I want to thank our panelists for coming on today and sharing their knowledge, and everybody for listening to another episode of Failing Success. If you like the show, make sure to subscribe. I'm your host, Chad Galecki, and we'll see you next time.